Today we will discuss the properties of inequality. The very first property of inequality is trichotomy property. We can assume from the name of this property that this property belongs to three conditions, as tri means three. And what are those three conditions? Let's discuss. For example, let we have a car and motorbike and we want to compare the weight of car and motorbike. So according to trichotomy property, there could be three conditions. Either the car is heavier than motorbike, or the car is lighter than motorbike, or both cars and motorbike have same weight. So we know that car is heavier than motorbike. So these are three conditions that could be for comparison of weight of car and motorbike according to trichotomy property. For real numbers, this property says if we have two real numbers a and b and if we want to compare them, then there could be three conditions. Either a is greater than b, or a is less than b, or a is equal to b. Means both numbers have same value. For example, let we have two real numbers 1 by 2 and 1. According to this property, either 1 by 2 is equal to 1, or 1 by 2 is less than 1, or 1 by 2 is greater than 1. And we know that 1 by 2 is less than 1. So this is the trichotomy property, very first property of inequality. Now let's discuss the second property of inequality, and that is transitive property. So what is transitive property? First of all, you should know the meaning of transitive. Transitive means if any condition applies between any consecutive numbers of sequence, then that condition would surely be applied between any two numbers taken in the order. That order could be ascending or descending. Ascending means to move from low to high, and descending means to move from high to low. For example, let we have three type of balls: plastic ball, rubber ball and hard ball, and now we want to make a relationship between these three balls. So we say plastic ball is lighter than rubber ball and rubber ball is lighter than hard ball. So according to transitive property, we can make third condition from these two conditions, that plastic ball is also lighter than hard ball. Now let's focus on the definition of transitive. Transitive means if any condition, that is the condition in our case, lighter than, applies between any two numbers, consecutive numbers of any sequence. This is the sequence and we are talking about plastic ball and rubber ball. These are two consecutive numbers. Then that condition would also apply between any two numbers taken in the order. As we are moving from low to high, so it's the ascending order. So if we pick any number from low to high, then the lighter condition is also applied between those two numbers. So we can say plastic ball is also lighter than hard ball. For real numbers, this property says if we have three real numbers a, b and c, then if we say a is greater than b and b is greater than c, then according to transitive property, we can also say a is also greater than c. And if we say a is less than b and b is less than c, then according to this property, we can also make assumption that a is also less than c. Let we have three real numbers 3, 4 and 7. For first condition, if we say 7 is greater than 4 and 4 is greater than 3, then we can surely say that 7 is also greater than 3, and that is true. And if we move from low to high and say 3 is less than 4 and 4 is less than 7, then we can make assumption according to transitive property that 3 is also less than 7, and this is true. The third property of inequality is additive property. Additive property has two parts and each part has two conditions. So first of all, you should know this property says if we add a common number on both sides of inequality, then even after addition, the direction of inequality does not change. For example, let we have three real numbers. A, B, C are all the members of real numbers. The first condition is if A is greater than B and we add a common number C on both sides of inequality, then even after addition, inequality does not change its direction. A plus C would be greater than B plus C. Now the second condition is if A is less than B and we add a common number C on both sides of inequality, then after addition A plus C would also be less than B plus C. Let's take some examples to better understand these two conditions. For example, let we have three real numbers. A is equal to 4, B is equal to 3 and C is equal to minus 2. We can see 4 is greater than 3. Now we add a common number minus 2 on both sides of inequality to check either this condition is correct or not for real numbers. Now add minus 2 on both sides of inequality. After addition of minus 2 on both sides of inequality, we will have 2 and 1. And we now 2 is greater than 1. This means this condition is correct for real numbers. Let's check the second condition. Let we have some different real numbers. A is equal to 1 by 2, whose decimal representation is equal to 0.5. B is equal to 9 by 8, and whose decimal representation is equal to 1.125, and C is equal to minus 9. So all these are real numbers. We now, for these real numbers, A is less than B, as 0.5 is less than 1.125. Now we add a common number C on both sides of inequality to check either this condition is correct or not for real numbers. So after the addition of C, that is equal to minus 9, on both sides of inequality, we will have minus 8.5 and minus 7.875. We now minus 8.5 is less than minus 7.875. So this means this condition is also true for real numbers. Let's discuss the second part of additive property of inequality. For second part, let we have four real numbers A, B, C and D. The first condition of this part is if A is less than B and C is less than D. Then after the addition of two greater numbers A and C and two smaller numbers B and D, the addition of greater numbers A plus C would be greater than B plus D, the addition of two smaller numbers. And the second condition is if A is less than B and C is less than D, then after the addition of two smaller numbers A and C and addition of two greater numbers B and D, the addition of two smaller numbers would be less than the addition of two greater numbers. For example, we have four real numbers. A is equal to 9, B is equal to 6, C is equal to 7 and D is equal to 4. All are positive integers. We can here see A is greater than B as 9 is greater than 6 and C is greater than D, 7 is greater than 4. Now we add these two numbers, these two greater numbers, and then add these two smaller numbers to check either the first condition of second part is correct or not for real numbers. 9 plus 7, A plus C, is greater than 6 plus 4, B plus D. 9 plus 7 is equal to 16 and 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. So we know 16 is greater than 10. So this means that this condition is true for real numbers. Let's check second condition. Let we have real numbers for second condition. A is equal to 2, B is equal to 3, C is equal to minus 4 and D is equal to minus 9. We have two positive integers and two negative integers. We can see in these numbers A is less than B, 2 is less than 3 and C is less than D, minus 4 is less than minus 1. We add two smaller numbers A and C and two greater numbers to check either this condition is true or not. After addition of two smaller numbers 2 and minus 4, we have minus 2, and after addition of two greater numbers 3 and minus 1, we have 2. We now minus 2 is less than 2. So this means this condition is also true for real numbers. So this is the additive property of inequality. So these are three properties of inequality. Now there is only one property of inequality to discuss, and that is the multiplicative property of inequality. And we will talk about multiplicative property of inequality in our next lecture.